so that shouldn't feature at all. It's not sorry, as a spoiled ballot. It shouldn't feature at all because it's not a vote that is cast. Now, when the votes are cast, again, there are two possible scenarios of what IEBC has classified as a rejected vote. One scenario is where I get the vote, the ballot to vote for president. I make my mark on it whichever way that I do, and I put it into the presidential ballot box. Later, when when the presiding officer is counting the votes, finds something wrong in terms of that voter having expressed their opinion, where, for example, there are 5 candidates, the voter has crossed out the 5 that he or she doesn't want, and has ticked the one they want. That is clearly a vote that will be rejected. The other category is where IEBC clerk gives you a ballot which is not stamped, and you do the right thing, and you put it in the right box, but when they are counting, they say this is not stamped, so we are treating it as a rejected vote. That's another. Yes. No, I haven't come to the inclusion yet. That's another category. The third category is where you take a vote for another election, a ballot for another election, such as, for example, the governor. You mark it properly for the governor, but you end up putting it in the ballot box for the president. So for the purposes of that election of the president, it's rejected. Now, if you classify all this together, then you say that you will count all of those for purposes of determining whether a president has more than 50%, you run into constitutional problems, because first of all, like in the last category that I talked about, that's not a vote that is cast in that election. It's just a vote that was cast for another election but found its box, its way into the wrong box. Right. So it would be wrong to include that in that. So the point is that 138(4)(a) talks about all the votes cast for that election. That part of the law is clear. Now, how that is administered is really what IEBC must be able to do, because they must be able to differentiate if they are going to include those that were cast for that election, even if they were subsequently found to be rejected for whatever reason or another, but they were cast for that election, which should be included. But those which were not cast for that election, which obviously cannot be included because they are not votes cast for that election. So that is an administrative challenge for CIC. For IEBC, if they are to comply with Article 138(4).
Okay. Let's move away from that. We'll see how the IEBC then will work out this particular issue. Let's go to the electronic transmission of the results. And the Constitution says that the results by the presiding officer shall first be transmitted electronically. The system failed, and we've gone back, actually started from the beginning, the manual system of tallying the votes. What do you make of what has happened? Does the IEBC, by virtue of the failure by the system to electronically transmit the results, find itself again in a crisis? Because one again of the presidential camps or secretariat has said it has issue with that, because the law says they should be electronically transmitted. That is the result, and that stopped happening because of hitches that the IEBC experienced. What happens then?
Okay, there is a requirement in the law for the electronic transmission of the provisional results. That collapsed somewhere. But I think what is of significance for the people of Kenya and for the candidates is the process by which IEBC arrives at a result. And the law is very clear on that, that IEBC arrives at the result using the manual form 36 from each of the returning officers. So in any event, even if the electronic transmission had not collapsed, yeah, that would not be the basis for IEBC to give us a result. They would still have had to go the process that they are going through now. So quite honestly, whereas it was inconvenient for the country that collapsed, the electronic transmission collapsed, from where I sit, I think it did not, that in itself did not in any way compromise the integrity of the process. Yes. And as long as IEBC can get right that which they are doing now, which is the manual verification, collation, and tallying of the results that they are receiving through from the manual forms from 36, then we'll be on course as far as ensuring the integrity is concerned.
All right. Several results are in, most of them, especially for the county representative positions. You have the Senate and the National Assembly. And as it's panning out right now, we might not have a majority in either of these houses. As a CIC, the person and your team, of course, charged with the implementation of the Constitution, overseeing that process, are you optimistic that of course, the Constitution is yet to be fully implemented. Are you optimistic that this process will continue to be on track, especially with houses that do not necessarily have majority, and perhaps politicking may take center stage? Or what are your thoughts?
Sorry, when you say majority, are you talking about
for the Senate and the National Assembly? Are
you talking about political parties that don't have a majority?
Yes.
That ideally should be neither here nor there insofar as the passage of laws that are required to enact the Constitution are concerned. Right. Because there is I mean, it makes it easier, of course, if
people can take political stands, yes, and bring them into.
But let's remember the process of legislation. The laws are going to be initiated by the executive, and therefore, what is going to have to happen is that the executive is going to have to develop mechanisms of consultations with the members of Parliament, so that by the time the laws get there, there is a common approach to it, bearing in mind that these are laws that are required to implement the Constitution.
We've seen how it worked out in the past. Is it going to be that easy?
No,
even if they're having consultations.
Sophia, it hasn't been easy, but we've done it. Yes. We've done it, barring a few, very few laws which were problematic, and the one law which we still did not pass, although the Constitution required us to have passed it by last August, which was the election campaign financing law. Other than that, it was done. It was done, and I don't think the 10th Parliament wasn't the easiest of institutions to deal with, but they were able to rise to the occasion and do that. So I have no serious worries about the legislative implementation of the Constitution.
All right. Finally, before we wind up this interview, we've heard the various pronouncements that have been made by the political parties, especially those involved in this presidential race, and also the IEBC. We've seen how they've responded to the various issues, and most of them, you know, having very serious allegations that they've been making in terms of rigging, in terms of stuffed boxes, and all manner of things that have been alleged and said. In your opinion, should this really be happening? Because some of the promises they made is that they would be seeking legal recourse if in case they felt the process was not fair, was not just. Why is this happening now, do you feel? Why do they feel the need to continue making these pronouncements now?
You know what, Sophia, I think we're making too much of what political parties are doing. I mean, this is a contest, yeah? And the contest has a referee who is IEBC.
Who's been undermined?
But I don't think they're being undermined. What I think is happening is that the various players in the game, that is those who are contesting, have been and continue to participate in this process. And I have been here since Monday,
right.
And I have watched the different candidates, agents at various times raise various issues with IEBC, and IEBC I think has sought to address these issues. I personally see nothing wrong with political parties sharing with the people of Kenya whatever concerns they have as regards the process, as long as they are also dealing with IEBC on this. What is important is that that is not done in a manner that overexcites people, or in a manner that then undermines IEBC as a referee. But of all this, the most important thing is to remember, and this is really what the people of Kenya need to remember, is that the architecture of our constitution provides a solution for any reservations, any issues that we may have, or political parties may have, candidates may have, anywhere where they feel that IEBC has not addressed, or where they feel IEBC has made the wrong decision. That's why we have the courts, and specifically in the case of the presidential election, that is why we have the Supreme Court of Kenya,
yes,
with the original jurisdiction to address those issues. So what I would say is that the political parties, I would, and the candidates, I would urge them, by all means, please raise whatever issues you feel as the process is going on. That is your right, and indeed it is your obligation to the people of Kenya. But ensure that respect for IEBC as the umpire in this contest is respected at all times. And remember that you have the opportunity to go to the Supreme Court, which is the final arbiter on any issue on which you are not satisfied.
CIC Chairman Charles Nyache, thank you very much for talking to us.
Allow me to say one thing though,
okay,
Sophie, with your permission.
Yes, please.
Now that you have me on air, I want to speak to the people of Kenya.
Right.
We are undertaking a momentous exercise as far as this election is concerned. The people of Kenya have done very well. They've turned out in large numbers. They have voted. The people of Kenya have exercised great patience insofar as this process is concerned. I would want to ask the people of Kenya, please continue with that patience. Let us give IEBC the opportunity to deliver on their mandate.
Yes.
They are accountable to us, the people of Kenya, in terms of the integrity of the process. But we must give them the opportunity to do that which is they are required to do, and that is to deliver to us, to complete this process and deliver to us a credible, fair, free and democratic election, which we as a people, considering the complexity of this election, would be able to look back and collectively feel proud that we have been able to achieve. But we must give IEBC the opportunity to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. There you've heard it from the CIC Chairman, Charles Nyache.